Hey everyone, I'm a 27-year-old woman, and I unexpectedly found myself as the guardian of my 10-year-old sister. This responsibility came about because our parents, who had never been the nurturing type, made it clear from the start that they weren't equipped to handle the duties of parenthood. My mother had me in the hopes that I would somehow fix their failing marriage, and my father, perhaps to avoid conflict, went along with her plan. However, things didn't go as they expected, and my life became a constant struggle. They ignored both my emotional and physical needs, and even though a few teachers noticed bruises on me, my parents dismissed it as clumsiness, preventing me from receiving the help I needed. When I was 11, my first therapist suggested I try to be more compliant and work things out with my parents. But this approach only led to more disappointment. It took several therapist changes before I found someone who focused on my well-being and encouraged me to leave the toxic environment I was living in. However, financial constraints meant I couldn't leave until I turned 18. While I saved up money, my mother manipulated me, calling me selfish for wanting to escape. By the time I was 16, I had made it clear that I was just waiting for the day I could get out. Eventually, my parents stopped trying to control me. Though this meant I lost their financial support, I also gained the freedom to live without their constant interference. At 17, my mother unexpectedly became pregnant at 42. Amidst the chaos of the pregnancy, my parents, preoccupied with the baby, quickly helped me move out, eager to convert my room into a nursery. While this made leaving easier, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being replaced. But despite these mixed feelings, I found the strength to move on and create a better future for myself. By 18, life was finally looking up. I had secured a job, made it onto the dean's list, and had an apartment of my own. Everything seemed perfect, but I didn't know that this bliss was about to come to a halt. On one unexpected day, my parents showed up unannounced with my younger sister. They handed her to me, saying she was too much for them to handle and that I should take care of her. Before I could process it, they left, and I was suddenly responsible for my 3-year-old sister. I reached out to my closest friends, who had been my main support system over the years, and they all agreed that my sister would be better off with me. 3 of them became like second parents to her, and we worked together to give her the love and care she deserved. At one point, she believed she had 3 moms and 1 dad, which I found sweet but gently corrected as she grew older. Meanwhile, our parents were off traveling. As their social media revealed, I felt relief that my sister wasn't going through the neglect I had. But when she turned 8, she started asking why our parents never attended her events. I didn't want her to feel abandoned, so I told her they were just too busy with work. She seemed to accept this, but clearly wasn't satisfied. To help, I arranged therapy for her and reached out to our parents, urging them to visit when they could. Unfortunately, unforeseen events like the pandemic prevented them from coming. So, on my 27th birthday, I invited my parents over, hoping things could be different. They accepted, but their behavior completely crushed me. When they arrived, they acted as if everything was normal. My mom immediately began criticizing everything in my apartment, while my dad opened a bottle of wine and refused to talk about anything other than his own thoughts. My mom also tried to make changes to my room, and when my sister came back from ballet class with a friend, my mom reached out to hug her. To my surprise, my sister, who hadn't seen them in 7 years, pulled away and hid behind my friend. My mom kept pushing for a hug, but I stepped in and told her to respect my sister's decision. In response, my mom slapped me across the face in front of my sister and friend. She then started berating me, telling me I should be thankful for everything she had done for me, as if no one else could have provided the same. Hearing these cruel words felt like a flashback to my childhood. I looked at my sister, now hiding behind my friend, and knew I had to stand up for myself. I told my mom that if she couldn't follow my house rules, especially about respecting my sister's boundaries, she needed to leave. She refused. I gave her 30 minutes to gather her things and leave, warning that I would call the police if she didn't comply, especially since everyone witnessed her hitting me. She dared me to do so, so I did. I called the cops. The situation wasn't easy. My mom and dad hurled insults at me, but my friends, sister, and everyone else present thought I did the right thing. I'm conflicted about not wanting to be seen as a villain, but at the same time, I know I had to stand up for myself and my sister. I'm grateful for all the support I've received. In my previous update, I didn't mention that I filed charges against my mom for the slap. The mark was clearly visible on my cheek, and my sister and friend confirmed what happened to the police. As a result, she will face court, and we hope the situation can be addressed there. The court date is tomorrow, and I'm unsure how to proceed. I never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am, documenting my mother's actions. A few important things have happened since the court proceedings began. The judge ruled in my favor in the domestic violence case, which is a relief. The court also suggested I take legal guardianship of my sister, something I hadn't considered before, but when they proposed it, I saw it as the right solution, so I agreed. Just 2 days ago, I officially became my sister's legal guardian. My friend mentioned that my sister was deeply impacted by seeing our mother's abusive behavior toward me. Despite her excitement about meeting our parents, witnessing their mistreatment of me changed her feelings. Now, she doesn't want to have anything to do with them. Honestly, my sister makes me feel more loved and appreciated than anyone ever has. I truly believe standing up for myself was the right decision, and I refuse to feel guilty about it. Also, it's been 3 years since I last saw my ex-wife. We were together for 7 years, starting as high school friends before becoming romantically involved. Our relationship was strong, but when I got an internship at a prestigious law firm, my girlfriend insisted we get married right away. I attempted to explain that, while I was earning enough to support us, waiting until I secured a stable position or earned a higher income would be more practical. But she was impatient, feeling that her youth was slipping away and wanted to marry me immediately. I had a feeling that the real reason she wanted to marry so quickly was the pressure from her friends and family, who disapproved of our decision to delay the wedding. Eventually, I gave in, thinking that with some extra effort, I could balance things out, making her happy while also ensuring our future was financially stable. So, we tied the knot when I was just about to turn 28. She was ecstatic that we were finally married, and after I put a ring on her finger, she no longer questioned my love for her. Our wedding was lavish, and she didn't want to compromise on any of the details. We decided to split the costs, with 60% of it covered by us and the remaining 40% from our parents. Of the amount we paid, I covered about 75%. Naturally, it would take some time for me to recover financially from such a hefty expense, and I figured it would take around 5 years, but I was confident in my ability to manage it. Just 2 months after the wedding, I was offered an incredible job opportunity. The position required me to move out of state for 6 to 9 months, but it promised a dramatic salary increase, about 300 times my current pay. I was thrilled and shared the news with my wife, who fully supported the idea. What I cherished most in our relationship was our mutual desire to help each other succeed. Her encouragement was something I always appreciated. During my first 2 months in the new role, I received many calls, but due to my busy schedule and time zone differences, I couldn't always pick them up, leading to some tension. She felt I was neglecting our relationship, but I made sure to show her that I cared, calling as often as I could, and when I couldn't, I made up for it later. Our relationship improved somewhat during this time, but it didn't last long. By the 4th month of my absence, her interest in talking to me began to fade. She said she had found hobbies to keep her busy and was too tired to talk, which led to fewer conversations. At the time, I believed her, not realizing that her hobbies involved spending time with other men, something I would only learn later. When I finished my assignment and it was our first anniversary, I returned home, eager to surprise her, hoping she'd be thrilled to see me. Instead, I walked in on her in bed with 2 men. They didn't notice me at first, but in that moment, I realized I no longer wanted to share a home with her. I called my boss, who was pleased with my work and offered me another contract for 9 months. I left the house without saying much to her, and when she asked if I was coming back, she seemed almost relieved. I didn't understand her reaction at all. I dealt with the pain of betrayal by myself for the next 3 months. After 6 months apart, I filed for divorce, and she surprisingly signed the papers without much objection. She moved out shortly after, and I decided to continue my traveling job. 3 years later, I returned to my city, having achieved the financial goals I'd set. However, I realized that constant travel wasn't for me. I learned that my ex-wife had moved on and married another lawyer from a competing firm, apparently, because he earned more than I did and because I was allegedly emotionally abusive. I understood the financial motivation but couldn't wrap my head around the accusation of emotional abuse. It stung, but I tried not to let it get to me. We hadn't spoken in years, even when we ran into each other at the courthouse. Then, a twist of fate occurred. One of my clients was going through a divorce, and after reviewing the case, I realized the division of assets wasn't fair. What's more, my ex-wife's new husband was representing the client's wife, creating a conflict of interest. As I dug into the case, I received a call from a familiar number. It was my ex-wife, frantic and hysterical. She explained that she had discovered her husband's infidelity with a client, and if it became public, he could be disbarred. I asked her why she thought I could help. She claimed she knew I wasn't in the U.S., which was a lie, and suggested that since I had influential parents, I could help prevent her husband from being disbarred. This was the same woman who had treated me as though I were invisible. Now, suddenly, she needed my help? It felt insincere. I decided to hire a private investigator to verify her claims. What I uncovered was even juicier. Her husband wasn't just cheating on her, but with my client's soon-to-be ex-wife. It was too big to ignore, so I decided to act. I presented a better settlement to the court, exposing the affair, and I alerted the Bar Association about their inappropriate relationship. Most of my friends thought I was wrong for getting involved. They accused me of meddling when I should have stayed out of it. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think I was in the wrong? I appreciate any feedback. Generally, I don't let other people's opinions get to me, but when friends question my actions, it does make me think twice. Your support means a lot to me. As it turned out, my ex-wife's new husband was disbarred, and he lost his income. Knowing her obsession with luxury brands, this was a huge blow to her lifestyle. I don't feel guilty about it. My ex-wife figured out that I was involved and called me to berate me for my actions. She claimed I should have respected her new husband and not filed a complaint, accusing me of twisting her words for a petty win. I disagreed, listened to her rant, and then blocked her. Honestly, I'm fine with never hearing from her again. Diego, I think I would have made the same choice, maybe even a more severe one. You had vital evidence for your case, and you used it. I don't see anything wrong with that. You didn't harm her significantly, and she's just being overly dramatic. Your friends aren't being fair. Protecting a cheater is not more important than standing by your principles. You did the right thing. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you have your own story to share, email us using the address in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. We'll catch you in the next episode.